The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
710knus.com. Without further ado, these people are very brave. They have stood against so much when they search for the life of who is Barack Obama. Lawrence Sellin joins us. He's been with us many times before. I'm a huge fan of his work. Thank you for doing this, sir. Good morning and welcome back to Denver and 710 KNUS.
Yes, good morning, Peter. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, a little bit about yourself so people get a sense of you, and then let's take off on your latest work.
Yes, I'm retired from an international business career. I also retired as a colonel from the Army Reserve. I did 2 tours in Afghanistan and 1 in Iraq and 1 mission to Africa. And right now I'm writing articles on politics and national security affairs, mainly for family security matters.
You are the man. And last week, or this week actually, on our website, was it this week? Yeah, I think it was. We put up the coincidences, and I've been calling them the coinkadinks, and these consequences appear, as we said, if you put them just by themselves, one at a time, they wouldn't mean much. But when you take them as a whole, as I think you and I have so many mutual friends, they said, look, it'll blow a main circuit in your head or a main circuit in a computer if you ask the computer to calculate the odds that have occurred by chance alone. And as he always said, sit back, Peter, and get your favorite beverage because he knows I don't drink. And he said, and read and ponder the Obama coinkadinks. And we've put them up on a website. You can read them, but it just goes like this. Obama just happened to know 60s left wing, just happened to know, and he lied about their relationship, left-wing radical revolutionary William Ayers, whose father just happened to be Thomas Ayers, who just happened to be a close friend of Obama's mentor, Frank Marshall Davis, I believe is his father, who just happened to work in the left-wing newspaper, the Chicago Defender, with Vernon Jarrett, who just happened to be the father-in-law of Iranian-born leftist Valerie Jarrett, who happened to become the closest White House advisor to Barack Obama. Valerie Jarrett also happened to work in the city of Chicago in this law firm that happened to hire Michelle LaVaughn Robinson, later becomes Mrs. Obama, who just happened to work in the Sydney law firm where a former fugitive from the FBI, Bernadine Doran, worked. Bernadine just happened to be married to William Ayers, who just happened to be hiding out in the San Francisco Marina where they met Donald Warden, who just happened to change his name to Khalid al-Mansour, who then just happened to be a financial advisor to a Saudi prince, who just happened to donate cash to Harvard, for which Obama just happened to get a critical letter of recommendation from Percy Sutton, who just happened to know. And do you see that is not coincidence, is it?
No, not at all. And I think the key to understanding Barack Obama is Chicago. If Frank Marshall Davis was his childhood mentor and possibly his biological father, his mentor in early adulthood was Bill Ayers' father, Thomas Ayers, who was actually a closet Marxist. Mm-hmm. And if you look into what Thomas Ayers said privately, he used all the buzzwords and all the talking points of classical Marxism. The working classes being exploited by the corporations, et cetera, et cetera. So it was really Thomas Ayers who picked up from Frank Marshall Davis, and of course, as you mentioned, Frank Marshall Davis was from Chicago, picked up from him and actually introduced Barack Obama into the network of Chicago politics, in particular, Obama's sympathies for Marxism, his sympathies for black nationalism and Islam.
But isn't it interesting, as we call it, the coinkadink, and it goes on page after page of this stuff, well, this guy just happens and that guy just happens, and as my friends have said, it can't just happen.
No, it's not a coincidence.
Yeah,
He was groomed. I think if you look at what Thomas Ayers' connections, I think it may be possible. I don't have evidence of this. I've been looking, but it may be possible that Ayers really was influential. That's Thomas Ayers, influential in getting Obama into Columbia University.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's just a coincidence that Columbia University was the birthplace of the Students for Democratic Society, the radical left-wing organization during the 1960s. And so and at the same time Obama was going to New York City to Columbia University, Bill Ayers had resurfaced in New York City in 1980, and eventually started his graduate career at the School of Education in New York, Bank Street College of Education, of which his father was a trustee.
Mm-hmm. And so I think that there's no question I'm a huge fan of Jack Cashel when Jack says, look, William Ayers wrote Barack Obama's book, Dreams from My Real Father. And, of course, that's the bio that himself, Barack Obama, writes his autobiography to the publisher claiming Kenyan birth. And, of course, everybody, I mean, sometimes, Larry, I just go, maybe I am the one that's wrong. And you look at these tie-ins and these are sequential events. This isn't happenstance. And why does, of all places, Barack Obama go to after graduation to Chicago? He's never been to Chicago. There's no roots in Chicago. His roots are in New York, in California at Occidental, or in Hawaii, or in Indonesia. But of all places he chooses to go, Chicago. And all of these people are in and out of Chicago.
Right, and he went twice. He went first after he graduated from Columbia, and then he went back after he graduated from Harvard Law School. And if you look at the first job that Barack Obama had in a law firm, it was a law firm of Consolidated Edison's counsel. And the CEO of Consolidated Edison was Bill Ayers' father.
Sure.
So all the connections. I think Thomas Ayers is really the key to introducing Barack Obama to the politics in Chicago.
And then he says that, remember he said it was just Ayers and their kids went to school together, and Obama's kids are little kids. They weren't even in school. And, of course, Ayers' kids were, they were adults if they even existed. And Obama flat out lied about Ayers and how he just happened to know him from the neighborhood. Those are absolute remember they found the mailman that used to see when Obama was living at the house with the Ayers, and the mailman saw him. And, this stuff, you can't go past it. So you've done some new work now, the Mike Zullo stuff, Library of Congress. If you would, sir, talk to the audience.
Well, let me preface that by saying Mike Zullo is in charge of the cold case posse investigation into Barack Obama's, in particular the birth certificate, the things around the birth certificate. And it's basically a one-man operation. Now, I talked to Zullo a few weeks ago on the telephone, and he indicated that Arpaio was going to shut down the investigation last autumn. But then this whistleblower walked into Arpaio's office, basically, and had information about how the now, this is what I'm told. I'm not part of the investigation, I should add. But what I've learned is that this whistleblower had information about, how the birth certificate was produced, who might have done it, where it was done, and even pointed the finger towards CIA Director John Brennan. So,
and by the way, Brennan is a Muslim.
Yeah, I've heard that too. That the former FBI agent has said that Brennan is a converted Muslim when he converted while he was CIA station chief in Saudi Arabia.
Well, yeah, if you saw the movie, and I thought it was fascinating, they did a blurb, Zero Dark 30, about killing Osama bin Laden, and the guy comes in and they show this man in a suit putting out a prayer rug. That's Brennan.
Yes. Well, I think Brennan is a bad guy, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's involved in all the shenanigans around Obama's birth certificate. But this was the information, I believe, that came from this whistleblower was the so-called universe-shattering evidence that Mike Zullo announced last November. Well, we still don't know what that information is. And as I understand it, they've hit some snags around that, and I'm not sure whether the snags are due to the whistleblower being reluctant to testify publicly, or they're afraid of the press smearing this whistleblower, because it's very likely that the whistleblower brought information that was taken perhaps from government computers, and what is the legal status of that? I don't know, but what has transpired recently, as you know, Mike Zullo announced last Friday that the universe-shattering evidence would not be released at least until after the election. Now, this to me personally smelled of a political decision, and I think what they're doing now is trying to collect additional evidence, even circumstantial evidence, and I believe Zullo was in Washington, D.C. To investigate. Yes, he was about last week or the week before, to investigate the Obama birth announcements, the microfilms, to see if these were, possible forgeries. Now, I've seen at least some of the evidence around these microfilms, and I would say perhaps it's suspicious, but it's not conclusive in my mind. So, as I said, I think they're trying to buttress their case by additional evidence, and perhaps that's why it's taking so long to get it together. I don't know, but and also he's probably in Washington, D.C. to talk to officials, perhaps Republicans, but for the Republicans, this is radioactive.
Yeah.
Just like the impeachment talk. They don't want to talk about it before the election. So he was probably told that, look, nothing's going to happen before the election. We're not going to buy into this right now because it's just too risky. We want to win back the Senate, and we'll see after that. Now, I'm not sure if that attitude is going to change after the election, but there we are.
I agree. Let me ask you as a final question, and first of all, I appreciate you coming back on again. Will the time come, we're both old guys, will this story ever break surface? And I don't ever expect Brian Williams of the New York Times to do it, but there are so many people. I mean, I've used this. I have a friend who's a congressperson who said to me one time over a lunch about a year and a half, 2 years ago, who said, yeah, everybody in D.C. knows the story's not straight. And I went, damn. And you guys, but of course, what I've learned is by simply bringing up people like yourself and others on the radio show and asking the question, I have been fully jacketed a racist on the internet. I've been cartooned by the Denver Post, columns written against me by the Denver Post about bringing up, quote, the truth about Barack Obama. And you know what? They've quit doing that. They have ceased and desisted that, but they won't deal with the question. Will we see the time, Larry, when this breaks surface?
Yes, it'll break surface eventually, just like Mike Zullo said. But the politicians and the media have too much to lose by, pursuing this with any vigor. So they're trying to run out the clock on Barack Obama. Yeah. So I think, it's my opinion at this point because, they call it a law enforcement investigation. Mm-hmm. Well, it would be if there are arrests, prosecutions, etc. And I don't think that'll happen. So it devolves into the realm of being political. And that's much harder to put a case over because you need the Republicans and the media to join in with you, and I don't see that happening. What I would like to see, I think the cold case posse should release their information. Right now it's a one-man show.
I do too.
Why not get thousands of people not only doing additional investigation on whatever the universe-shattering evidence is, but also get people like yourself and other radio personalities, in perhaps TV personalities like the people in Canada.
The Canadians, we had them on
to talk about this.
But,
so you get, if you release the information, you get more investigators and you get more people on the air talking about this this information.
Well, more people know, and no one really believes. I don't know anybody, with the exception of somebody that's drinking the Kool-Aid, that actually believes the guy's life story is straight. And,
right.
And like I said, but when you say that, then you don't know his life story. And I have to say that. When people say, who is Barack Obama? I say, I don't have a clue. I just know this much. The official story is not true or a lie. The real story, I can just guess.
Yeah. Well, I think he's a fraud and
yeah.
possibly an unindicted felon.
All right, brother. We'll talk in a day, or excuse me, talk in a week or two. You're the man. Thanks for taking out time to do the show.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.